And we are live. Welcome, gentlemen, to the Aquatic Addicts Anonymous Show.
Hello.
Good evening. Well, good morning.
How we
Well,
doing,
wherever
mates?
you are. You all right?
Doing all right. Doing all right. How are you guys doing today?
I'm
Yeah,
fine.
not bad. Not bad.
Well, that was a very interesting, nice new starter for the show, Arnold. Thank you for that.
All right, no worries.
Created a nice intro. We're still working on our final product of it, but he's doing a fantastic job on that. That's just really nice.
The music is a bit like this, and the music's a bit get down with the teenagers.
Yeah, yeah,
We'll get that changed.
yeah, yeah. We'll get that figured all out. But it's nice. It's interesting.
Well, what people need to realise is really we're grumpy old men, so we're trying to be with the cool kids and that. So
That's true, Steve. That's true.
We might be old, but we're not dead.
we still have fun. Still have fish rooms.
Right.
Got fruits and shapes. That's what you got to do.
All right, Mace, let's go ahead and say real quick to hello to everybody in the chat, shall we? You want to go ahead and take that over? Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. All right. So first off, we have Melvin. So Melvin is in the building. Everyone.
Hello, Melvin. Welcome.
We've got Adele as well, all the way from Australia.
Hello, my dear Adele.
We have Shady Grady. Welcome.
Hello, Shady Grady. Good to see you, Mike.
We have Gord.
Hey, Gord.
Red
Welcome. Good to see you, Red Laser. All right.
We have Cabby in chat. Welcome.
Hello, welcome.
And we have Horizon Fishkeeper.
Hello, Horizon Fishkeeper. That's David, by the way. He's another UK friend that I want to have in here.
Yeah.
And so, David, I think on our next one might be a good one to have him join us. Because next week is going to be, I think next week we're doing the 180 gallon, or are we going to jump up to 240?
Up to you, mate. You're the boss, mate. You're the boss.
Let's do 180. Let's do a 180 gallon tank next week. Our top 5 fish. And then that way it'll give David a chance to come up with his top 5 list that he'd want to keep. And then, yeah. I was thinking, I just try to think of it in advance for the next week's show, because sometimes I might wait till the last minute to decide what we're going to do. I don't like to do that. So, all right. So I think we're all caught up in chat now.
Yep, we are. Yep. We are indeed.
Yes.
There's David confirming that, he would be interested in joining us on the panel.
Excellent. Oh, we have Patty. Patty, how you doing? Welcome.
Hi, Patty.
Hello, mate.
Yeah, we're today. This is going to be interesting. I think Patty's going to enjoy this a lot, because today, for the first part of the segment, we're going to have Keith here from Aquatic Fanatics UK. He's going to be talking about dirted tanks and explain a bit about them. So I never did set up any banners for the topic, though. I'm sorry about that.
That's fine.
That's okay. I can actually probably do that while you start talking, then I'll just put the banner up. So
okay,
if you want to go ahead and you guys want to go ahead and start talking about that, go right ahead.
Okay, cool. So what I was thinking of doing is talking about like the dirt side of things, because I've been doing like a lot of reading and stuff on social media and stuff, and I find like people are struggling to understand what's going on when you first set the tank up. And I've done a lot of research on this side of it, because I think with dirted tanks, the most important part is actually getting it up and running. When you actually dirt it, because once it's going, it kind of starts fueling itself and it beds in, settles down. But at the first, I've called it supercharged before in my videos, because what happens is once it gets underwater, the soil, because we use terrestrial soil, don't we? I know a lot of people use quite heavily fertilized soils, and So what I find happens is, and what I've read, like I follow the wall stab method quite heavily because I've read Diana's book a few times. I've read about three of the editions, um, and so Diana Wallstad suggests using it's a white bag of Miracle Grow organic compost, potting soil, not compost. Um, but when I've ordered that in the past, I didn't realise I'd done this. I ordered it and it come and it had little pellets of slowly release fertiliser. So I set on my tank up and it just struggled and struggled and struggled, and I was scratching my head thinking, what's going on? And I'd ordered the white bag and got the yellow bag, which is it's not organic. It's like it's like a rich vegetable matter soil. So that's the type of compost you'd use if you wanted to grow vegetables. You know, it's like if you need loads of nitrogen, but we don't really want loads of nitrogen in a fish tank. What we want is like a nice mild soil, because what we're essentially doing really is growing shade plants rather than vegetables that they take a lot more nitrogen. Can I just ask, guys, if any questions pop up, can you throw them on the chat for me? Because I haven't got the
Sure.
chat bar, have I? So I'll get
Yeah.
straight to the questions. So the
Sure will.
first thing you do is when you're setting your tank up, you can do something which is called remineralizing, or they call it mineralized, or there's loads of different names for it. But what you can do is get it somewhere, get it wet, let it dry out, and you know, when you set the tank up and you cycle your tank, any fish tank, you have to cycle it for 6 weeks, don't you? Now, with a dirty tank, you're doing the same thing, except in the dirt, the same bacteria are going to start breaking down the dirt, the organics in the dirt, um, and they'll start releasing ammonia, and then the ammonia will just follow the same process. So we can do that, and we can mineralize it, and we can burn off all this excess phosphate, or yeah, I don't know whether you want me to call them phosphate or phosphorus, because at that point, while they're dry, it's phosphorus and nitrogen, and then when we get them soaked in water, it goes into a situation where it's never been in a low oxygen environment. Like obviously, water stops it narrows the amount of oxygen that the soil can get, um, and as well when our beneficial bacteria start getting into that soil and breaking the soil down, they start consuming loads and loads of oxygen. So that's why a lot of people you'll hear Dustin Fish Tanks talking about mineralizing all the time, or he used to in his old videos. And he used to have, remember his greenhouse 1.0? He used to have a sheet. I remember he had like, I think he called it a ghetto aquarium. And
Oh,
he had a sheet, and that was basically just mineralized soil. But he used to talk about getting it from your garden, sticking it in the oven for an hour on low to cook all the anything living in it off, and then start mineralizing it in the garden. He had a big man stuff in the garden dedicated to setting up dirty tanks, and that's what he's doing. He's just getting all them excess nutrients, because a lot of people think that what we're doing with a dirty tank is we're using it for. I tell you what, we'll go back. Do you know fertilization? Well, plant fertilizer and any fertilizer you ever use in your life, in anything, whether you're growing spuds or bonsai trees or aquariums, they've all got macronutrients, which are nitrates or your nitrogen, your phosphorus or phosphates, and then your potassium. Now, with the wall stab method, it's a bit different because you've got your KH, your magnesium, your calcium. Now, these balance, and in a reef tank, you balance it like, and Arnold will either agree with me or disagree with me on numbers here, but in general, he said, right, so you've got to balance. Like, it's like a seesaw, and first you have to balance your magnesium, and then then you have to get like your KH or your alkalinity in balance with calcium. Now, if you don't get the magnesium right, then it looks like Christmas in your fish tank because your calcium precipitates into the water, and basically your reef tank snows. Um, and we have to do a similar thing in a planted tank because, and obviously we're not fertilizing. So with a water tank or a data tank, we're using our soil. So our fertilizer isn't balanced the way as a plant fertilizer would be. So what will happen is when we're doing water changes, we're adding our magnesium, calcium, and alkalinity. in to the tank, and I think off the top of my head, your magnesium and calcium got to be about 7. I can't remember the number off the top of my head, but if anyone wants to know, I can get back to them. I can just go and check and get back to you after the stream. But off the top of my head, I'm sure it's 7.
I
But
do have a
then,
question. I have a question for you, Keith.
go ahead. She's away.
How long will what's the average lifespan of a dirted tank? I mean, do you have to replace it? What would the
Um,
time period? What would the time frame be that if you had a dirted tank set up? You know, you got the nutrients. Are they? They're not infinite, are they? So you gotta. How does
well,
that
the
work?
theory, the like Father Fish adds all his supplements, doesn't he, for his to extend the life of his. Obviously, Father Fish promotes a different style of dirted tank because he puts his supplements in, he puts his sand in, and the theory behind that is it's gonna like I call it a slow burn method. Whereas Diana Wallstad, she's leaning more on the using because I've only fish food on. I've got it. So with this fish food, we'll go back. So I'm talking about nitrogen. I think you brought me back well here, Jeff. So the theory is these things will run forever. I'm not convinced that like I don't think you'd be able to balance the tank for that such a long period on that. But we've got on this, we've got like they'll have like a reading of protein. I don't, you'll never be able to see that, but they'll have like a protein. Say it's 50%. 16% of that protein is nitrogen or ammonium. It'll convert into your nitrogen for your fertilizer for your macronutrients, and about 2% of that, off the top of my head, I think it's about 1.5% of the whole thing. About 3% of the protein will convert to your phosphates or your phosphorus. So you're getting your NPK from, no, you're not getting your potassium from there, but you're getting your nitrogen and your phosphate. But kind of that says you have to dose, I think potassium chloride, or I think, because you have to be careful because chlorides and there's a few that'll like, because going to, like your clays, like Dana Allstar talks about clays and powder fish. He talks about sphagnum peat moss, anything with a high cation exchange capacity, which brings me back to what I was talking about. It'll pull everything in, and it's like the surface of golf ball, and your little nutrients will stick there, and then the plant roots, if there's any plant roots about, the plant roots will get there onto that, and then they'll extract the nutrients. So, um, what I'm saying is, like the clays and that, they'll pull everything in and bind it. So if you're continually feeding in the Diana Wallstad method, then that's what our book says. These things should keep drawing the nutrients in and holding them. And with the likes of your micronutrients, for example, Father Fish was talking about iron being one that can run out in your tank. Now, according to Diana Wallstad, there's a 20,000 month supply of iron in an organic potting soil. So I don't know whether I necessarily agree with him on that, but I totally agree with him on the macronutrients. And a lot of what he supplements are macronutrients and like the likes of magnesium, calcium. If you look at his stuff, another one he feeds is mycelium, which is, does everyone know what mycelium is and mycorrhiza?
I have no idea.
Okay, so
I'm totally new to pretty much to all this stuff. So it's kind of like going over my head a little bit, but I'm still enjoying the talk. So,
right,
um,
okay, so if it's going over people's heads, then so what we want to do, like let's hit it with a simple, high level thing. So you want to get your soil in, and I was talking about mineralizing, but you don't have to do that. You can put your soil in, and then you got like an 8 week thing. This is what I'm saying. Like people will be like, "Well, what's going on?" Because it'll just when it's in that low oxygen environment for the first time with the water and like the bacteria in the soil can't get as much oxygen as they want. When they start converting everything, it starts mineralizing in your tank. It throws everything out, so you'll end up with like a big ammonia spike, big potassium spike. All your micronutrients will end up all over the place. And I didn't do a video on it, but when I set the little 25-litre All-Star tank up. I bought test kits for ammonium nitrite, nitrate, potassium, phosphates, basically everything apart from the micronutrients. So I know you can get test kits, but I think they're quite expensive. So I tested them and they all went through the roof. And then what happens is, as your tank cycles like it normally would, these things like in the Wallstab method, you clay, and in the father fish method, you peat moss, because peat moss it's in a really acidic environment where peat moss things, so it doesn't decay like a normal soil would. So you end up with all these nutrients, but it has like a high cation exchange capacity that draws it all in. So you get this 8 week where everything throws out, and then the soils like for the fishes, peat moss, down and wall starts clay, will pull all these things back in, and they'll be nice and balanced. But that's why Diana Wallstad says you don't need to do water changes. You need to do water changes during this cycle, this 8 week cycle. You need to get the plant it balanced, and then for 12 months you'll get like CO2 being released from the substrates. There's some in a planted tank, if you set up a low tech planted tank like this one, you'll get like 2 to 3 parts ppm if you're running air in your tank. I'll turn this one off because it sounds like a bulldozer behind me.
So I just popped up a question here from Red Laser.
Transferable within the plant, so where is it absorbed? The plants use it, so extreme iron needs to be free floating in the water column. So that's a good question. So in the Wallstab method, it has to be it's absorbed through the soil. Dino Wallstab says it's in the soil, and as the bacteria are breaking all the organics down and releasing the molecules into the soil. Now, off the top of my head, there's the two types, and I can't think of the name of them off the top of my head, but one's insoluble to plants, and this is what. So for the fish supplements with, is it Patty will tell me in the comments, is it iron oxide or ferric iron something? Yeah, that's it. There's ferrous and ferric, which one of them is insoluble to plants, and the other one is when you in the Wallstab method, when everything's breaking down, or in the fish's method, when everything's breaking down, you ever seen a dirty tank and it's got that yellow hue in it?
Yeah.
And everyone assumes it's tannins. It's not. It's dissolved organic carbons or compounds. Now, the likes of your iron, Father Fish talks about this actually. The likes of your iron will bind with these floating rocks in the tank. I think it's ferrous iron. I can't remember. It's either ferric or ferrous. There's one, but it binds, and Father Fish talks about chelation quite a lot, or he used to in his other videos.
There's another question.
Good question. I haven't been monitoring them as much as I should, but I've just spent quite a bit on supplements. Arnold, have you heard of the balling method?
No.
From reef keeping. So basically, in reef keeping, we do our magnesium first, and we check it, and then we balance the magnesium, and then we start playing with the calcium and the alkalinity, which is the same thing I was going to do with the Wallstab method. I was going to do the Baller method, so I was going to make up stock solutions of magnesium, calcium, and alkalinity, and I was going to dose them into the tank. And basically, that's what you do when you got an SPS reef tank. Do the Baller method. You make up these stock solutions, and I was going to keep meaning to make a video on it, but it takes quite a while, and you have to do a lot of testing on your tanks, and you have to calculate how much, say, magnesium, or magnesium is not a good example because that's the slowest. But say your calcium, that'll drop a certain percent. So if you test your calcium, then wait 3 days, then you should be able to see how much it's depleted in the tank, and then you calculate how much your stock solution you need to raise the level back up.
I've seen iron solution in a bottle before, so it does get absorbed in through the water column. Then it would have to, right? I mean, like the Seachem iron, they have the iron additive that you can add to the water.
Iron, Yeah, there's certain types of iron that you can use. But like I say, with Fish talks about chelation, and that's what them dissolved organic compounds do in your water. Um, they'll, they're, they're floating to yellow, like they'll have like a yellowy tinge in the tank. Now these buffer the CO2 as well. So in a normal tank like this, you'll get like 2 parts per million of CO2 in your water, and then in a high-tech tank, when you hammer in CO2 into the tank, you get like 30 parts per million. But in the water method or in a data tank, because these dissolved organic carbons, like you're looking at about 10 ppm of carbon dioxide in the water being able like in the water, it helps. But as I say, with the likes of your iron, your other um, micronutrients, like there's iron, there's quite a few of them. There's, I can't remember off the top of my head the name of most of the things. Um, I'm trying to, there's three micronutrients and then there's your, so so I think there's about 8 micronutrients usually listed on a bottle of.
It's all very technical. This is all very technical. It's like
Yes.
science.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the Wallstar method, but not every data tank is a Wallstar tank, but every Wallstar tank is a data tank, unless you remember my old tank and it wasn't dated, but I was running on the principles of the Wallstar. Um, but
Good.
it's if you if you can get through that initial stage of the 8 weeks where everything goes out and then it's all absorbed back into like your clays, then you're cooking on gas. Then like you've got a 12-month period where there's CO2 being released from the soil underneath, and it'll be releasing ammonium and phosphates that your plants will be absorbing. And then you're golden then.
Okay. So I think my question would be also, so you're a new person, not a new Aquarius, but you're going to set up your very first dirty tank. You don't really know much about it. So I've seen the tutorials about when you get the organic potting soil and you put it, about an inch thick in the bottom of your tank, and then you moisten it to like a mud state, and then you cap
Yeah,
it off. So
yeah.
I'm just, I mean, everything you're saying is really, it is quite technical actually, and I'm really not grasping a lot of it. So I guess what I'm trying to get at is it possible just to set it up like that, and then it will balance out eventually? I mean, once you get plants in it, I mean, if the nutrients are too much in the tank, the plants will actually over time will balance it out, won't it? Or
Oh, yeah.
am I wrong?
So if we get our dirt in and then we cap it and set it up, but what I do is for the first week, same as an aquascaper would do with aquasoil, it's basically the same thing as aquasoil. I'll do like a 50% water change every day for the first week, and then I'll go to every other day the second week, and then the third week I'll go to every 3 days. And you're just pulling out all the excess. And then once you get to a week, then you can do water changes once a week, keep an eye on your nitrates, and it'll balance itself out nicely. It's like
You get
really
every day,
simple to do.
50% every day,
Well, that's
or
if
could
you
you do
set up
50?
a tank. Go on, sorry.
I'm sorry, could you do like 50% a week? In other words, it'll accumulate more, but you can take 50% out once a week, or you have to do it every single day?
Um, well, the likes of your ammonium would go really high if you only did it once a week. Unless you
Okay.
did it like, well, that's what I do. I've seen people just set them up and forget them.
But if you have just plants, though, is that dangerous for the plants for the ammonia to get, or is that
Um,
benefit?
I've seen people say that high levels of ammonium are bad for plants, but I've never had any ill effects of putting plants in with high levels of ammonium. So,
Okay. Okay. I was just wondering because I mean, for my understanding of it is like if I was to start a Wallstead tank, I wouldn't want to add any other living animals for a few months after the tank had a chance to, when the plants start to flourish, start to eat more of the nutrients, more of the ammonia and ammonium out of the water, and then like add fish maybe 2 or 3 months down the road. Is that something that would be a possibility?
yeah, that's basically how I do it. I'll keep an eye on my the likes of nitrates. Like I was saying, I'll do that where I do. If I'm honest, I didn't really do it. I wasn't that strict with the big tank. It was more the small tank. I think the bigger your tank you've got, the more leeway you've got. So with mine, I was doing a water change every time I had the day off. So it'd be like once or twice a week. After the first week, I done quite a few in the first week, so just to balance anything out. But then after that, once it's cycled like a normal fish tank could be cycled, what I'll do is I'll keep an eye on on your nitrates. And once they get up to 20, if you do 50% water change, take them down to 10, then let them, then it'll keep building back up. So once it gets to 20 again, I'll do another water change, and then eventually you'll find, like some of the tanks I've never get back up to 20. They just kind of hover somewhere. That's some of
Okay,
the
that's
tank.
interesting.
We have another
That's
question.
interesting.
With the pH, Diana Wallstad argues that it is like relatively neutral because the soil has the buffering capacity, and as you say, using the term humus. So when I'm talking about like letting that initial cycle of the aquarium with the soil when it's mineralizing, what's happening is it's turning from terrestrial soil into aquatic humus, which is like a really mild um, soil or dirt compared to a lot of others. And it's that humus that's of benefits to the aquatic plants, and it's that buffers the water to Diana Wallstad argues to a neutral kind of thing. So in a normal tank, when the cycling's going, it keeps using your KH. Diana Wallstad argues that it's not as big a deal in a water tank. But then when you're doing more, when you're topping up your water, you're putting. See, this is the thing in America as well.
So basically, the
In
more
America,
water changes you do, the more nutrients you're pulling out of the water. So in other words, it can probably only put out so much nutrients into the water column, and then you take it out, and there's still an excess in the soil, and it's still pulling excess nutrients out. Is that what you're?
yeah. So what I'm saying is, like with the micronutrients, that the soil's a store of micronutrients, not macronutrients, which is your nitrogen, your phosphates, your nitrates, your phosphates, and arguably your potassium. That comes from your fish food.
Okay.
There's one from M&C Aquatics.
He says every dirt tank is turned into a cesspool. I've never had one yet, so I've never tried one.
No. To me, that sounds like it's something's going on in the soil. Either the soil's too rich because the plants, when they get the roots down there, they basically I love these because they get oxygen down into the soil, and because like I was saying before, your beneficial bacteria which live in your filter, they live on your plants, they live on your gravel, they live in the soil and they break down the soil, but they live in an oxygen rich environments. They don't live in an anaerobic condition. Then we convert over to different bacteria start growing. Um, but your plant roots, if you've got heavy root feeders, they put the oxygen down there, and then the bacteria can use that. I was talking about mycelium and mycorrhiza before, which is a fascinating thing that, like, Father Fish talks about putting mycelium in his tank in the supplements. So, have you ever been to a pine forest or like the?
He's saying MNC is saying that he used a half-inch of soil and 2 inches sand, same outcome 3 times. He's saying, and then but Mexicali fish keeper Jorge says I modified my dirty substrate to reduce the excess nutrients.
Well, that's a clever thing to do. Don't need excess nutrients in a dirty tank.
He modified. I said I modified my dirted tank substrate to reduce the excess nutrients.
Yeah, That's the type of thing I'd be interested in talking about. Is what he used to do that.
Yeah, he's. Tell you, Jorge does some fantastic planted tanks as well. So
Totally agree. I love his vibe. I love his fish room. He's just like proper cool guy, and I love the aesthetic of his tanks. His tanks are like, to me, that's what a planted tank should look like. What he's doing over there, and his data tanks, I think, are dead cool. And he was last time I seen him, he was doing plenums. Now plenums is something I'm interested in because that's like the opposite end of the spectrum, isn't it? That's like using anaerobic layers
the
or
kitty litter,
anoxic.
like a thin layer of kitty litter, the non-clumping. I seen that some, like in a sump filter, they would use a big crate with the non-clumping kitty litter to create a that type of filtration in a sump that would
Yeah,
also lower the nitrates, and it did a lot to help keep the nutrients more in check. But I could be
yeah,
wrong about
because
that.
it's a I was it the first Warstar tank I set up on this channel. I used that as a cap. The the non clumping kitty litter. It was the one I used was called Molar Clay, which is what all the bonsai artists in the UK were using for ages. I think they were using it in America because it just absorbs everything for a certain period of time, and then it'll get saturated by it. But it's got a really high CEC capacity, the likes of Akadama, and I think there's some aquarium soils that they draw in all the nutrients from the water and then store them to feed the plants with and stuff. So um, I
It's
think,
interesting how you kind of could experiment. You could probably use like some of your organic potting soil, then maybe put like a thin layer of the. I don't know if it'd make any difference in that, but you could use a thin layer of the non-clumping kitty litter and then cap it off. Or there's lots of things you could probably do. I would imagine.
yeah, well, you don't really need to because you've got clay in there and these non-clumping cat litters are just clay. So they're doing the same thing. They've got little plate structures that the likes of iron and stuff will bind to, and it'll hold them because of a magnetic, like a tiny magnetic charge, till the plant roots decide they want them. Um, but I keep trying to talk about mycelium because what it is, it's a fungus, and Alex from Fish Theory talks about it a lot, like because he's into all these things the same as I am. And so what it does, it's a fungus and it grows little threads. So it'll literally go into the plant roots, the cilia and the plant roots, and it just spreads like a web. And if you go into like a pine forest, you can smell it in the air. And if you move the soil, you'll see like white. It looks like spider webs in the soil. That's mycelium, and they literally live in symbiosis with plant roots. Like pine trees can't exist without this fungus, and you get it in your tanks. And it fascinates me the way these like cilia are fed by these network of mycelium from mycorrhiza fungus.
Nice.
Nice.
All very interesting.
It is
Mm.
very. So let me think now. I did have other questions. I'm just trying to pull them out of my mind where I had them. It kind of got shuffled around a little bit. So we spoke about the longevity of the dirt, how long it will. How many months did you said you mentioned a number?
Well,
Um,
they'll keep producing CO2 for 12 months.
oh yeah, I
The
remember
likes
now.
of your micronutrients will last like 20,000 months. Well, they'll say it lasts for 12 months. Well, it's kind of a misnomer because you're not using, in the Wallstad method, you're not using your soil to provide macronutrients, which people argue run out in 12 months. You're using fish food to supply that. If you add like 1 gram of fish food to a 55-gallon tank, or I think Dino Wallstad said as well 1.3, then that should be the amount of nitrogen you should have in your planted tank, in a heavily planted tank. But
Earlier, when you
if
were
I'm
speaking of
honest,
when the soil and the nutrients where they were getting starved for oxygen, you mentioned that earlier.
oh, 8 weeks.
Yeah, you said it was
It's,
starving. Would adding an air
so
stone in there help that situation? That would it balance out quicker if you put like aeration in there to get some gas exchange going?
it probably would, yeah, because Same with your when you cycle in a normal tank. If you put loads of oxygen in there, get the temperature up to 28, and if you lift your Ka up to 300 parts per million, and that's everything the bacteria want. So that's a perfect existence for bacteria, for your beneficial bacteria. So they'll just smash through the cycle well faster.
Okay, so it'd be a beneficial thing to do when you're starting a dirted tank is to have some type of variation in there that would help
Yeah,
it along.
basically with a data tank, you just cycle in the tank the same as you would a normal tank. It's just that there's loads of nutrients in there. Like rather than putting a little bit of ammonia in there, the soil's throwing out loads of ammonium that the beneficial bacteria is just going to break down and use the same as they would in your filter or on your gravel. As I say, it's the same bacteria. They're just processing waste in soil, and the plants live off that waste.
Yeah, in a tank like that. So if you had really heavy root feeding plants, that would be an ideal situation for them. Is that right? In that type of environment, because I know that I've tried to keep sword
They'd
plants.
be they'd be perfect for that environment, and that environment would be perfect for them because it's a symbiotic relationship because they get throughout all the roots. I had a 2 foot tank, Jeff, with an Amazon sword in, and I had 2 inches of dirt in it, because I wanted to see because the roots will release oxygen, they'll keep all the soil nice and basically tilled.
Hmm.
And when I'd finished, I pulled the Amazon sword out. Do you know how much of the soil came out with the roots from the Amazon sword? All of it. Like
Wow.
all the soil came out with the roots.
Oh, really? All the dirt came out with it?
I've never seen roots like that before, unless it was on it. Like
I think I would just leave it next time. I wouldn't try to move it. I don't think I'd try to move it once it got that established. I don't think.
2 foot
Um,
of roots. I just watched all the soil go like that and out with the roots.
Wow.
so also, I can imagine if you wanted to keep fish in an aquarium, a dirted aquarium, you want to make sure that you have a lot of plants in there. Otherwise, they might get overwhelmed with the nutrients and the nitrates. Otherwise, I mean,
And
if you don't have enough plants in there to absorb the nutrients, then that could be an
see the
adverse.
thing, once we get a data tank going, it's a far more balanced tank than a normal fish tank because your nitrates aren't going up and down. Um, it's just it just runs on like on a more balanced like um pH swings. You won't get pH swings as much it's because it's all buffered by the soil. So it's just like a lot more mild of an environment for fish than like a standard like nitrogen factory filter blowing out loads of nitrates.
Okay, very nice. Well,
So the thing I'm picking up from this tonight is normal people don't understand data tanks the way I understand data tanks.
well, probably. I think on a from a scientific point of view, I think you're, you know, up here and I'm down here because I'm now fish wise. I know my fish and everything, but with the dirted tanks, I mean, I'm still. This is all uncharted territory for me. So that's the reason why I might be a little bit.
See,
And
this is the problem is I start talking to people about data tanks and I go, well, it's dead simple. And then say stuff like that and people are like, I haven't got a clue what you're talking about, mate. Are you talking about physics? Like, I don't know what's going on in this conversation. So,
so just so we don't scare a bunch of people off from starting a dirted tank, okay? Because right now, I mean, if I was to come in here, I mean, this is no offense to you either, but if I was just to come in here to listen to this today because I was interested in starting a dirted tank, after pretty much, no, there's no offense either. After everything I've heard, I'd be a little bit intimidated to even want to try and start one.
well,
That's
fair
just
enough.
I'm.
Um,
I'd be very intimidated.
that's
I'd
fair
be like,
comments.
ugh.
So what I need to do then is start talking about this to the level of someone who's just getting into them. That's the whole point in what I want to do. So obviously, I need to.
Oh yeah, keep going. If I holler out a name or something every once in a while, I'm just saying hello to people when they come in. You're fine. Keep.
Cool, yeah. So basically, like on a, if someone's just starting, I'd say add an inch of soil, an inch of gravel, and then get as many plants in as you can. And Jeff, you brought a fantastic point up there. Like, I love heavy root feeding plants because they absolutely love the dirt. Now, there's no point having a dirted tank if you're not using that dirt. So, like, my tank down here, my Wallstart tank's full of Aponticetans, the Crinum in there, there's Amazon swords, the Crips. Everything that loves being in that soil and feeding from that soil is what's in that tank.
I think also even the water column feeding plants would probably benefit as well. I mean, you could have some nice floating plants in there, and that would also benefit. I mean, because
Well,
it's going to be.
yeah, that's another good point. I use what's called the duckweed index. I know a lot of people use the likes of, I've got cornworts here, and these really fast growing plants will start showing nutrient deficiencies before most of our plants. It's like, so if these really fast like plants are showing nutrient deficiencies, then we know there's something going on in our tank and we can balance it before it becomes a nutrient issue in our tank. So that's called the duckweed index. So if you start seeing like the likes of duckweed, salvinia, anything like that, or hormones, anything starting to show a bit of nutrient deficiency, we can address it then. We can test the water, have a look, and go, oh, well, I need that.
Yeah,
Then
I have some
we
of my
can
tanks.
address
I
it.
take a load of duckweed out and I feed it to the African cichlids. I mean, a lot. You know, there might be a patch about the size of a large plate on top of the water where I take all the duckweed out, and I'll come back the next day and it'll be covered over the top again. That's a lot. I mean, that's a lot of duckweed. I go through a lot.
My duck, I had 5 feet of duckweed in here. I had 5 goldfish, and within a week, all the duckweed had gone.
Ah,
Wow.
yeah. They goldfish will eat it. I mean, my African cichlids will too. Except I have one tank that has. I only have 2 African cichlids in that tank. I think if you have a group of them, it's a lot better. But the 2 Africans I had in the one tank over here in the 20-gallon, they won't touch the duckweed. But the other
Now,
ones, I could take a handful and throw it into this red zebra tank over here, and they'll have it gone within about 10 minutes. Every speck of it, and I'm talking about a nice handful of
yeah,
duckweed. But yeah.
So
so
Adam has said he would love to do an interview with you and a fish room tour.
I know. I spoke with Adam. At the moment, I'm kind of like renovating my house, so everywhere's an absolute dump. So like, there's building materials and stuff everywhere. So I wouldn't be able to do it at the moment, but I'd love to get it like hang around. Adam's only a couple of miles that way from me, so it would be nice to catch up with Adam. Plus, me and Adam are quite close on other forms of social media. We like hang around in similar groups of people on different forms of social media, like the likes of Facebook. Because in the northwest, I think we've in the northwest of England, I personally think like we've got some of the best shops and some of the best breeders, and like everyone who I know knows Adam as well, so we're quite close that way as well. Likes the big fish lad, Paul.
Oh yeah.
He's in that little group as well in the northwest. So
Yes.
Right.
June has a question for you. Oh, she did.
There, I found it. There it is.
Tanks. What are they actually adding to your tank, calling it soil?
me personally, I'm using topsoil, organic topsoil.
Okay. All right. And Adam says, "No worries, mate. Let me know in the future."
There's
And Horizon Fish Keeping here also. He says, "I'm up your way too in Yorkshire, Horizon Fish Keeping." And David,
Horizon,
to answer your question earlier about us joining, once you do that, if you're on Facebook, or you can send us an email, and you can always attach the link to us. And what I will do is when I have you on, I think I'm going to have you on next week, I believe. That's how I will send you the link, just to answer your question there. He says he's up in Yorkshire. Also, he's near where Aquarium Daily is too, because he's in Bradford.
yeah.
so Patty's hit the nail on the head there. Every planted tank at the start needs a bit of love and care. It needs to get, doesn't matter whether it's high tech, low tech, dated. Um, we need to get our tanks going. We need to get them balanced. And once they're balanced, like, you're flying
Oh,
with the planted tank.
Oh, sorry. I kind of ran over June's question about the soil. I'm sorry about that, June. That was my.
What was the question again? Was it
Here's the
the
question. Here's the question. Soil, dirty
so
tank. What are you actually adding to your tank, calling it soil?
I'm adding I'm I was using Miracle Grow Organic, the same Diana Wallstad recommends, but I'm not any because the times I've ordered it, it wasn't the organic stuff I received, it was the normal um compost, which is really strong, and I don't think I had much luck with it. So I ordered organic topsoil. Was literally it's one third sand, one third red clay, and one third organics, and that's all it is. And you can use like a mild topsoil or an organic topsoil or an organic loam with no added fertilizers or anything into it.
This is what I
Oh,
got.
Organic pottings,
Mir-
that's it.
This is Miracle Grow organic potting soil, potting mix.
Grower's choice.
Yeah, yeah. This is what I got right here, and I also got it. When I got this, I got it on sale for $17 on Amazon. Now it's like 25. I've
I
had
just
this.
say as well.
This is a year. I've had this for a year, and I haven't opened it up yet. So I've been saving it, getting ready for to do my dirty tank. So,
Good man, Jeff.
oh yeah, it's coming. I just have to get my stand built. Still, I still am trying to come up with the materials to do that. Once I do that, I'm gonna do my dirty tank. But
we've got Garcia. Garcia's in the chat.
hey, hello,
Hello, mate.
Garcia. Hello, welcome.
We've got Peplin Creek Aquatics as well.
Hello, Peplin. Welcome.
Um,
Do we have any
yeah,
more questions for Keith out there?
Yeah,
Um,
hit me up with questions.
go on,
and did
chat.
he answer my
Come on,
question?
chat.
I think so.
Get your
That's what I
questions
want.
in.
Did he answer my question? I believe so. It's a little bit over my head too, so it's really, I
Well, I
really.
don't want it to be over. I don't want to be like. I want people to have a go and then come back to me and say, "What's going on here?" Like, talk me through that. I'm just opening my door because it's about 28 degrees in this room, so I'm starting to shine because I'm
I was
sweating.
going to say, I'm at 29.6.
You're what?
Yeah, but
I'm
you're
at
down south.
29. Yeah, I
You're
know.
down south in tropical England.
Oh, yeah, 29.6 is what I'm at the minute.
Damn.
Yeah. But yeah, I've got a tank which I'm going to scape out, and I've got what was it, Colombo Nutribase. I've got
Yeah,
that, and then I've got Aquatic Pot and Soil,
yeah. Aquatic pot and soil's good because it's already been transitioned. So there's
and then I've just got Silver Sand to go on top.
yeah. I've had issues using sand as a cap
Yeah.
in the past. I've noticed you get like sulfur build up in your tank, which is a sign of
Okay.
hydrogen sulfide building up, um, which isn't very good for your plant roots. So
No.
I've been a bit wary using sand for capping soil.
Okay.
Diana Woolstad says use half-inch of sand. I've had it with LOD Adensa, but then LOD Adensa will put loads of oxygen into the soil beneath the sand. So,
Mhm.
um, but as I say, I've always struggled with sand as a cap. I know Father Fish talks about using 2 inches of sand, but then he's talking about using anaerobic conditions to break nutrients down. Um, but then you get into a total different side of um,
Yeah.
soil
Okay.
and science, basically,
Yeah.
because things happen a lot slower and
Mhm.
differently in anaerobic conditions, and different gases being created rather than just
Yeah.
CO2. In here, yeah, the oxygen comes in, the fish waste comes down, it goes in the gravel, and in the Wolfstad method, and the bacteria which live in your filter, they live on your gravel, they live on your plants, live all over your tank. they break the soil down into ammonium, which the plants uses, nitrogen, and CO2, which the plants uses carbon.
Okay.
M&C Aquatic says
It's
I may
not
give it
simple.
one more try and see how it goes. Fourth time may work, but try more Mexicali's method. I'm, I'm, I'm really, I gotta, I'm really not sure exactly how his method is different from the Wallstead, but I know he mentioned earlier
Um,
about amending the substrate to balance out the nutrients. Um,
yeah, I'm not too sure myself, but um,
you know what
it
we got to
sounds
do?
like a good.
We need to get Mexican. We need to get. This is what we need to do. Okay, we got you. We have Patty, and we have Mexicali. Now, there's three people that I know of that do this type of aquarium and are very successful with it. So, I think if it's up to them guys, if they have availability at some point, I'd love to have a live stream and have a discussion about all this with all of you guys. I mean,
Yeah,
I'll
just
sit, I'll sit to the side and I'm not going to say a word. I'm just going to watch and listen because I have a lot
just
to learn on this. And you guys, I think,
Patty, Patty's running the father fish method, so that's like I haven't gone to in depth studying that because, as I say, like different things go on in anaerobic soils and stuff, and that's what father fish is talking about. So
hi, Christine.
um,
Yes.
it's a slower, it's like a slow burn type of system compared to the wall start method. So, and then you start getting into like food webs and stuff. So
Yeah. Yeah.
Patty's into all that.
And Patty says he's down for it. He's good for it. Okay. And hopefully, if Jorge's out there, hopefully he will join and we can set something up with him as well.
I,
Yeah,
I must.
definitely.
I must admit, just listening to like all what goes into doing the dirty tank is quite fascinating. To be fair.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
so does everyone understand what a low tech and a high tech aquarium is?
Yeah.
Like your low tech is it's just a normal planted tank, and then the high tech's like high light, high CO2, like liquid fertilizers or like soils, like the expensive soils and stuff. Well, that's a high tech tank, and a dirty tank's just one style of low tech tank. It's just a slow growing, relaxed. You're not chasing nutrient numbers all the time. It's just once you've got any planted tank going and it's balanced. I'm trying to talk through the critical part, the balancing of all star tank, because that like can go if it goes wrong. People are like, I'm not trying it again. It's too hard. But every planted tank's hard to do. A lot of aquascapers set up high tech tanks. They never balance. Turns into an algae farm. But the difference is they hide it from you and they'll tell you that it crashed, that they couldn't get it to balance. George Farmer released a video the other week saying you wouldn't know what happens behind the scene with aquascapers, with professional aquascapers. Um, and that's because they're hiding the dirty little secrets from us all and making out that they're better than the rest of us. When I reckon the likes of me, Party, Mexico, we could all give them a run for our money, their money. I reckon in the
Whenever
long
I see
term.
algae, though, whenever I see algae, I take that as a positive, though, myself, because it means that life is being created in the tank. And I mean, it doesn't look good. I mean, a lot of the time, but people don't like the look of algae, but it doesn't really bother me that much. I mean, I have tanks in here that have algae on the glass and whatnot. I don't worry about.
This tank's got algae in it. That tank's got algae in it. It's part of but it's not an algae outbreak. It's not coating everything. It's just growing away slowly. And the way I look at it, if I've got an algae that's easy to remove, why want to keep that in there and let that balance it rather than I could keep pulling that out and get like blackbeard algae because there's loads of nutrients. So a more stubborn algae could get going in here if that algae wasn't balancing it. So as long as it's not massive outbreak, I'm not too worried about a bit of algae in my tanks. It's all part of the ecosystem.
Right? I'm just going to continue. I'm just setting up the next
I
banner. You can go.
mineralise the soil, less algae and no gas bubbles, 1 inch sand cap.
Jeff.
Yeah.
Horizon Fish Keeping has sent me an email.
Oh, great! So you can just send my. You can
wanting to know if he could come and join the panel.
Oh, right now?
I think so.
He wants to join right now, or do you want for next week when we have our 180 gallon top 5?
Well, we got Horizon Fish Keeping. Do you want to come up on the panel now, or do you want to come up next week's show? You can let us know in chat.
Because next week it's the top 5 fish. You may enjoy that more. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
so
next week. Next week
will work.
We'll get that sorted for you.
Okay, I have another question actually for you, Keith.
Cool.
Having a dirty tank. Now, do you have snails in your tank?
I do, yeah. Down in Wallstad does.
Okay.
I do, yeah.
Because I have both. I have Malaysian trumpet snails. I mean, I actually bought. Well, I didn't buy. I was given one Malaysian trumpet snail. Now I got thousands, but I don't mind them. I don't mind.
I don't know how many I've got in this tank. I got Java fern. Did anyone see how much Java? I got a carrier bag full of Java fern. All the leaves are black, and I popped them in this tank. And I think there was Malaysian trumpet snails in the roots of the Java fern. So I've got them hanging around in the tank. I don't know how many I've got, but I've got a few. I've got ram's horn snails. Basically, I keep ram's horn snails because, like, the waste in the tank, they'll break it down into a finer waste, and the bacteria will break that down into the nutrients that the plants will use. So they're a part of the ecosystem. Because that's also we're doing, aren't we? We're setting up an ecosystem with a dirty tank.
Yes.
We're turning fish food into fish waste, into food for the bacteria, and then the bacteria release nutrients for the plants.
Here we have a question for you also. Does the size of the tank
tank.
determine how successful the dirty tank method will be?
That's a good question. If I've always like I'm thinking of a way of addressing it because I've always had bigger tanks, so I always have success with bigger tanks. I just put it down to my fish keeping experience in general. So I find people who've got smaller tanks. Here's Glenn.
Is this right here?
Glenn, yeah. Everyone go and sub to Glenn. Glenn is cool.
Nice to meet you. Welcome to the
If I'm honest, with Glenn, right, I started putting out a few videos out on shrimp, didn't I? Probably last autumn. And then I got talking to Glenn and thought I don't know anything about shrimp actually when Glenn comes along.
We need to get you. Do you know Mark Shelley?
Mark Shelley.
Mark Shelley Aquatics?
I don't know whether Glenn does. I've seen him around.
Mark Shelley's the Neocaridina king of the United States. Yeah. He pretty much is. He has quite a little empire at his place. He has a nice thriving business, and he does some of the best Neocaridinas. I got my Blue Dream from him and my Bloody Marys. But he sells them. He has right now. He's got a huge project going out at his place. I don't know if people have been following his channel, but he's got 10 110 gallon tubs lined down his fence. He's got an air system similar to the one I have down here in the fish room with a huge pond pump. He's got thousands and thousands of Neocaridina shrimp out there that he's farming out to get, because he goes through so many shrimp that he's running out of stock. So he's trying to up his amount.
Wow.
Really impressive how he's done. He spent a lot of money, but he's going to have a huge payout at the end, I think. But I didn't
realize. I didn't realize with Neocaridina shrimp how sought after they are. There was a guy up the road from me. He's got a load of blues, reds, and yellows, and he put them up on Facebook saying, "Does anyone want to buy any Neocaridina?" And I said, "Yeah, I'll have a colony of blues before I got these ones and these reds. Before I got them, I was like, I'll have them." Within the half an hour it took me to walk from my house to his house, someone had turned up and bought all of them, and he'd ordered in like 100 of each colour. In the meantime, within half an hour, someone had turned up and bought 300 shrimp.
Wow. Yeah,
I
they go they
didn't
go.
realise that the shrimp market was that big.
Yeah, he sells his pretty. I mean, I've actually sold quite a few of my Blue Dream shrimps locally, and I was getting
Yeah,
$4. I sold them for $4 a piece, and people buy like 10 at a time, 15 at a time. You know,
yeah. Well, Glenn's got some of the neos that I've been looking for and can't find on any of the websites. Like I've been on a lot of the UK shrimp sites, and I can't find like the likes of oranges and stuff like that, like the high grade. And Glenn's got them all going. So
he's got Carradina mostly. He says I'm mainly on Carradina. Oh yeah, those are some really beautiful shrimp, the Carradinas.
yeah, Glenn's got like the high end of like, and he's got a Facebook group, and the guys that Glenn like keeps in touch with are like they make you feel like you don't know nothing about shrimp. Probably like they've got all the like the Galaxy fish bone and the boas and like all the high end like amazing shrimp that make me think I want to do that. But
Mm.
Yeah,
I don't,
There's a breeder not far from me, and yeah, she breeds high end shrimp, and I mean tons of them, like
Glenn
crystal
as
beads and
well.
stuff like that.
Glenn's been working as hard behind the scenes on my projects as I have. He's like the customer service he gives through his shop is amazing. I know people say they do exceptional customer service, but Glenn's customer service is exceptional compared to theirs. Like if he sends you something out, he's on you, and he's like, "Have you had that? What's going on? Let me know." And if there's any problems, he's on it straight away. So, like, I want to give him the headache of having to deal with all those plant keepers wanting birds and everything we want for our plants. I want him to have to set up a big section on his website because we're all hounding him for ferts and stuff for our plants. So I
Get
want him to
ready,
be like,
Glenn. Get ready.
"It's happening, Glenn."
Yep, it is going to happen very soon.
all right. So how about we go ahead and get started on our second topic? I had one set up. It's going to be just a kind of a lighthearted one, basically. Let me go ahead and pull the banner up real quick.
Bum, bum.
Ba-bum. Fish trends. Why do fish go in and out of being sought after and not? We have. It's kind of interesting. I see this happening. I see it kind of like over the decades. I've noticed something that might be in vogue right now. It might go out, but I notice after a year or two, it might come back. I'm wondering
Yeah,
why that is. I mean, just because people just want to change what they're keeping and then try something else. Like with me, I started out with the big cichlids, and I went to the dwarf cichlids, which I'm pretty much into right now, and in bettas. Um, and then who knows? I've been looking at getting a pair of Jack Dempsey's now,
Yeah, wow.
just
I'm
because just
interested.
because I want to, just for something to keep because I like them.
I'm interested in what other people's in the comments opinion is on that because that's like really fascinating. How can I say? One thing I'm interested in at the moment is what's coming next in the hobby. What trends coming next? Because we've done the aquascaping, haven't we? And I'm interested in what trends coming next because that'll kind of dictate what fish are coming next as well. I think.
I'm just trying to
I,
think
I
right.
don't know about you in the US, Jeff, but before all the aquascaping hit the UK, everyone had cichlids. Well, most people were into African cichlids,
Mm-hmm.
and the marine
Yep.
side of the hobby had the LEDs. Like so, Finding Nemo came out, and everyone wanted Dory and Nemo, so everyone got saltwater tanks. And at the same time, the LED technology came out, so everyone could keep um, better coral, higher level coral. We all started doing the balling method with your dosing, um, and then the LED made the change from the saltwater side of the hobby to the freshwater. And then the likes of George Farmer jumped on it. You could grow like He got famous for doing his glossostigma carpet. He was like, I think he was the first person in the world to get glossostigma to carpet using bird CO2 and these LED lights. So then the aquascaping hobby like exploded in the UK, and the cichlid hobby seemed to burn out then in the freshwater side. And also, I've noticed the reef keeping hobbies like burnt off slowly in the last 10 years as well.
Mm. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, we had
I mean,
last year.
around my area, people don't go after Malawis or anything like African cichlids anymore. The shops don't keep them.
They used to be absolutely a hot tamale here in Michigan a few years back. I mean, it was like everybody, it was all the rage, African cichlids. Everybody, and back then I had Central American and South American, and that's what I was interested in. And then it seemed like as soon as I started, I'm going to try the African cichlids out a few years ago. I got them, and all of a sudden it's like a ghost town now. Nobody wants them. Nobody's really wanting to keep them too much, except you see it depends on where you're at though. I mean, because what's not happening here could be very popular in Australia or over in the UK, or it's just I think where you're at. It just kind of like varies, from country to country or state to state. Even it's like I know some like right now in Michigan, I know that nanofish are just like the go-to. I mean, everybody wants nano tanks or nano fish rather.
Mm-hmm.
You have a big tank. People are having like their huge tanks where they would keep their cichlids at. Now they got them full of hundreds of nanofish, which is I think that's be fun too.
We've been having a trend lately of people wanting discus and like really oddball fish, like butterfly fish, hatchet fish, like reed fish, crayfish, all those sorts of unique oddball fish.
I love
people are going, people are going crazy for them, and then within a week or two, they won't sell anymore, and then people will then go into like the nano section, like you were saying, like all nano fish. But then that will only last for about 4 weeks, and then people will then go to back down to like discus and stuff like that. It's crazy,
Yeah.
absolutely crazy. But if you're like me, and got a problem, I've got all sorts, and that's why I'm on this show for. Because I've got a problem.
See, I love breeding fish. I love seeing fry. I love breeding fish and raising the fry up. Where I get in my hobby, what gets me is that I want to do that, but I don't want to raise up hundreds of fry that I'm just going to have to sit on. I need to have something that has at least a little bit of desirability where I can at least share them out, even if it means giving them to somebody. But I got like African cichlids here that I can't even give away. Really, I mean, well, let's put it this way. I know Melvin's in the chat here, and he's going to say, "Jeff, I want your African cichlids," but we discussed that part of it. I mean, I got fish coming to him, but they're not going to be the African cichlids. He's got some firemouths coming and some other things. But overall, though, when it comes to a selling stand, I'm talking about for selling fish. I mean, it's almost impossible to.
That's a fantastic point, Jeff, because I see loads of people on YouTube putting videos out saying breeding fish for profit, and it doesn't mean anything, does it? Because if you're breeding fish, people either want them and they'll pay you for your fish, or they don't want them and you can't give them away. So saying you're breeding them for profit's a bit of a doesn't mean anything really, because you can you'll either make money on them or you can't get rid of them.
I mean, I bred the Caras because a lot of people were like, the shop was, selling out of blue Caras, so I ended up breeding some, hoping that they would all go, and then I got lumbered with about 300.
Vibes is back. He's asking a question. I'm back. What did I miss? Oh, we're talking about fish trends, Eddie. How some fish you have, they might be very popular, and then sometimes, then it's not. So we're just talking about how fish will trend. like where I was talking about with here in Michigan, African cichlids used to be very popular, and then I got into them and I've kept them for a while and bred them. And I had a lot of. I mean, tell you what though, for me, I guess it depends on what you want to keep. I mean, for me, if I just had an aquarium that I just wanted to look at and enjoy, African cichlids are probably up high on the top list because they're interesting. Um, they're beautiful colors. But when you, like I said, when you have a fish room, you got so many different tanks. I mean, and you like to breed the fish. I mean, I could have, like I mentioned this, I don't know how many times. In this basement, I could probably have the room if I really wanted to make it as stocked as I could. I mean, if I really wanted to utilize all the space, let's put it that way, I could easily have 100 tanks down here, easily, and still have plenty of room to move around. I mean, I'd still have room for more, but I mean, if I had 100 tanks, I can guarantee I'd have those tanks completely full within a year or less. Just with African cichlids. I mean, I'm not talking about my mollies or my, crebensis that are getting ready to breed. I got, I'm going to try and breed the bettas and a bunch of other stuff, but I could fill it with African cichlids, just two species that I have, the red zebras and the dragon bloods. And I wouldn't be able to sell one of them.
See, that's, if someone said to me, you can have like a 10-foot tank for nothing, what fish would you keep? I'd get Brontosa. But I don't think you'd move them on at the moment.
No.
You bred them. Whereas a couple of years ago.
Oh, I'm just asking, are Bosemani rainbows worth getting? Oh, I think so. The Bosemani? Oh, they're nice.
I've got Bosemani here in my Wallstad. I've got Connie Red Laser, which Gary Lang's all excited about these at the moment. And then
the Goyder River you have, right? You have the Goyder River fry.
I've got the Goyder River down here. And it turns out that the guy I got these off, he got his from the same person Gary Lang got his Goyder Rivers off, so the same breeder that gave Gary Lang his, I got my Goyder Rivers from.
Oh, yeah. June is saying my aquariums are for the cats to watch. I got to pick the fish. Nice.
So if fish should be watching the chat, if the fish is the addict.
Oh, Vibe says, Tommy, and you didn't stop by when you drove through Austin.
What? I have got one new fish, and that's the black ghost knifefish.
Oh, that's right. Are you able to show us? Is he going to come out, do you think? Or
come out? You're having a laugh, aren't you?
They hide a lot, don't they?
I was going to say, when I put him in the tank, he went behind the filter, and that was, 4 or 5 days, and he's still behind the filter.
You got a PVC pipe for him.
Basically, what I'm going to do is, when I aquascape the tank, there's going to be, that might bring him out. Because he's going to go in with...
Like a pipe. If you have like a...
Yeah.
I've seen people use the transparent pipe, the plastic. I don't mean to interrupt you there, but the transparent tubes, and they'll go in there. They'll feel safe in there, and you can still see them that way.
Yeah, yeah.
Which I think is interesting. But so, how big is the black ghost knife fish, and how big do they get?
Jesus, they'll get huge. They'll get huge, absolutely huge.
How huge?
I think. Have a look.
I'm opening my door and roasting again, guys.
What's that?
I'm opening my door because I'm sweating again.
Oh, yeah.
I'm done.
Silver Creek.
So they 20 inches apparently.
20 inches. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So that.
They don't grow real fast, do they? I mean, kind of a slower grower, aren't they?
All depends what you feed them. If you feed them like Artemian, Mysis, and Bloodworm, they can grow very quick.
Yeah, it's my blindness, Jimmy. I got to use this to read the chat on my phone because I don't have a big screen like.
See, that's what we need on the merch. Big magnifying glass. Elementary, my dear Watson.
You know what? I tell you what, this comes in handy in the fish room too. And I'm looking at the fry and the wiggles and stuff. Yeah.
when you get the magnifying glass out, we need like the Inspector Gadget theme song.
I just can't read it without it. So I'm going to get some new glasses at some point. I know that it looks funny, but wind is blowing 20 miles per hour over Arkansas. June has an announcement here. Findig is the weekend of June 22nd and 23rd in Sacramento, California.
Nice.
My relatives, my wife's first cousin, who lives now in our town, lived in Sacramento, and they had aquariums too. Also, they had koi. Show the kids the Alamo. Boarded. Okay. Wish I could board a ship. All right. Oh, my eyes are so bad. I'm so sorry, guys. I just have a hard time.
Do you know I had a lot of aggression in my Oscar tank recently.
Have you?
I mean, a lot of aggression. I mean, biting tails, biting their faces, God knows what else. So the only thing I could come up with, and that has worked, is buying cat balls with the little cat balls with the little rattles inside.
Oh, okay. The little.
Yeah, they play with them. They play with them. It's great.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, sometimes I'll sit here and I'm like, doing a thumbnail for the show or anything. Now I hear this big old bang, and basically what she's done is she's picked the cat ball up and flung it out of the air to hit the lid.
Oh wow!
You learn new things every day in this hobby,
and that's helped the aggression level.
Yeah, that's all good now.
I'm wondering if you have opposite sexes in that tank, because when it gets warmer, they might be trying to.
Don't say that, Christ.
Oh, they might be with it. That could be because if they've been getting along good, and then all of a sudden, now that the weather's turning warmer, that might be.
I know my wolf cichlid. She's dying to have a male go with her, but I ain't having another one of them. Christ.
If you had any type of Parachromis species with that Dovi, because it was in the same genus, they could hybridize. So
right.
luckily you got the Oscars in there. And
I've got a Jaguar cichlid in there.
Do you know what the female is a Dovi? Do you know what the sex of the Jaguar?
I think that is a male.
Uh-oh. You got a recipe brewing there. I tell you what, you give it a little time.
Thanks, Jeff. I'm now sweating just a little bit more now.
Yeah, because
after hearing that,
he gets a little bit bigger up to breeding age or breeding size for her, and she likes him.
Yeah. Jeff, stop.
Oscar's going to be on the menu for them.
Yeah, you've got to stop, Jeff. You've got to stop all this.
Yep. I don't mean to make you nervous, but if that is a male and you got a female Dovi, they will breed.
Nervous as anything now. Look.
No, don't do that.
I'm joking. Christ, I'm joking.
Yeah.
All right.
But it would be fun to see all those fry, though. But my goodness, you're going to be thousands of them.
Say hi to Jeff.
What do we have here?
Daffy's now down, so she might say that she might pop her head round.
Excellent. Hello, Sam.
Hello.
Well,
How are you?
Good. How are you today?
Yeah, not bad.
So we've got to keep up in the corner there.
Yeah.
All right.
it's the other way around to YouTube, isn't it?
What's that?
It's the other way around. YouTube. If you go like that way on YouTube, your hand comes in, and
Oh yeah, I'm not even going to attempt that.
so when you're recording from YouTube, you go that way and it comes onto the screen. But on this one, it's the opposite way around. So
Yep.
That was really weird.
Either.
Oh, it's something. Charge nothing.
Oh.
What
Well,
is the possibility next week, Arnold,
Ooh.
for Staffy to join for a little while while we do the top 5 for the 180 gallon?
there you go. Join us next Wednesday. She'll be alright because I'll be with us, so she'll be alright.
Okay. All right.
Sword.
That should be a lot of fun, though. Oh, it says,
180 gallons.
oh, Eddie just left.
So
See if
on
I.
at 600.
I just know that Eddie left. Okay.
Ooh. M&T saying that his Dovi killed anything that he put with him.
I believe it.
Well,
I believe it. My Red Devil was the same way when I had it. It was just.
right.
He was just. I mean, most beautiful. He was so beautiful, though. He was just a gorgeous Red Devil, just really healthy. Got up to about 14 inches. He was just massive.
Well, I'm not looking in that tank anymore
Why?
because the Dovi is now digging a trench.
Oh, yeah. There it
Great,
is.
great, lovely, great.
Yep, it's that time of year.
oh yeah,
Play with the cat balls instead. Jesus. The Dovi Winifred. Yeah.
Mm.
Jeff talked it up now. All Jeff's fault. Yeah.
I don't think there's anything in my fish room right now that's not breeding at the moment, except for the albino cribs because I don't have their put in there right now. But otherwise,
Hey, did your angels breed? They were laying eggs, weren't they? Last Wednesday, weren't they?
oh, the
yeah,
killing.
the ethanol.
Oh,
Yeah.
I think I've got a lazy I think I've got a lazy male because
what
you
kind?
see
What
it.
type? Was that the angelfish?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So she laid the eggs, and he couldn't be bothered to.
He just did one bombing run and then come down here to the other side of the tank and was like, "I'm done. I'm going to bed."
Typical.
Typical bloke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't say a word. Don't say a word.
I would have said that before I did.
Oh dear. Carry on.
Call the male Glenn.
Yeah.
Great. Now, he said he had his Dovi in a 310 gallon tank. Wow.
Wow.
I'd love to have a tank that big. That'd be nice.
I'm basically at my limit now for tanks. But then I said that when I had 3 tanks, and now I'm at 28. So I've got to stop.
You know where my magic number where I broke through from being a normal hobbyist to a absolute addicted monster?
Go on then.
4 tanks.
Yeah.
Once I was up 1 to 3 tanks. I had 1 to 3 tanks for a long time. 10 years more. When I got up to my 4th tank, then all of a sudden it was like you opened up the door and you walked through the other side. 4 was the magic number. Once I had 4 tanks, opened up the floodgate, and then I had another tank coming in about every couple of weeks, and it just never stopped.
Well, Glenn is saying there's always room for more.
Oh, there is, but
Not for me, Glenn. Not for me. Otherwise, I have to put the kids outside.
I don't know what I'm going to say to that.
See, this is the Aquatic Addicts Anonymous show. It's like I could have more, but I'm trying to I'm trying to just hold it together. You know what I mean? I want to make sure that I can manage. I mean, I'm still kind of laxed a little bit down here. I don't think it really. I do have the stand. Once that's up, that's going to be the end of it for me. I think once I get the new tank set up.
You want an indoor pond, don't you?
I was talking about it, but I don't think that's going to. But you hear
Have big old bars and everything in there. That's what you want.
Hear what he just said. I said I already had enough tanks, and I'm already at maxed out. And then the next words that came out of my mouth were, "Now I got to get the new rack set up and get the new tank set up."
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and then when that's done, what's going to happen next year when I'm like, I see something else I want to get?
You're gonna have a massive indoor pond. You're gonna have alligator guards. You're gonna have alpiners. You're gonna have just about anything, because you are the boss of the mafia.
Jeff's going to set up a fish rescue.
Yeah.
And Glenn says, "And."
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I think that was for me saying I'm gonna have to get rid of the kids to have another tank.
Someone says there's a room right now by the window in the front or two. Perfect. Now he's thinking for me.
Yeah.
And Melvin saying, I love watching MD style of his tanks. Oh yeah.
I haven't watched MD for a while now, but last time I watched him, he was doing dirty tanks, wasn't he?
Mm. I don't know what he does now, but I've watched a few of them, but they are like high-end tanks now.
Yeah, I really got into him when he was doing the dirty style tanks with the aquatic soil and stuff like that, because he was kind of doing like high-end wall start tanks, basically, wasn't he? He was just following the same principles, but it was kind of like Kosciuszko aquascapes using wall starts dated soil method, which really appeals to me. I bet you wouldn't have guessed that, would you? Open the door.
If my spine wasn't like a crumbly chalk, I'd have spinal damage or sick. Oh yeah, it definitely does. And that's my issue now.
So do you have like any like rare plecos then, Keith?
I've got peppermints in here. I've got wabba mustard in there, and I've got L triple T's. That's my and then I've got commons in here.
Right.
I like the wabba mustard.
But that ties in nicely with the topic, because at the moment the trend in my area is massive for Amazon fish. So I bought, everyone pronounces it differently, Manica Peru angels, thinking, well, no one's got them in the area, so I bought them, grown them out. By the time I've got them grown out, there's about 6 people in my area that's bred them, and there's like thousands of Manica Peru try. Every type of like the fish shop told me to get these because they were like, get some peppermints, breed them out, we'll take them off you. Now the shop's full of peppermint bristlenose blackos because everyone's got them. Like all the Amazon fish, everyone's got them and they're breeding them. So it's like, but no one's got blackwater tanks, so I don't think they're doing Amazon fish right. So
Aquarium Delirium, he bred the Manica Peru too, also. Angel fish.
What I want to find is someone who does blackwater tanks the way I do wall start tanks. Now because there's ways of cycling a low pH system, isn't it? And I've kind of come across people talking about it, but I've never actually researched it because the nitrogen cycle is different, isn't it, in low pH? So I want to find someone who talks about blackwater tanks the way I talk about wall start.
Horizon Fish David says, do any of you guys do any cool water tanks? I'm thinking of getting some white clouds. I don't have any tanks without a heater really myself, but White Clouds are good up to about 80 degrees.
24.
Up to 80 degrees.
24.
I know Jimmy P. He keeps White Clouds. He told me one time that somebody had mentioned that they don't do well in temperatures in the high 70s, and he told me that his do fine. And if he's still out there, Jimmy, if you can tell me about that, the temperatures for the White Clouds. But I've been told they can do fine up to even 80 degrees.
Yeah, my local fish shop, they say the highest they can go is 76.
Oh, for White
Which
Clouds?
which is 24.
Ah.
I
Because if you put them in a higher temperature, their lifespan
reduces.
just reduces. So yeah.
Same thing with shrimp too. Shrimp, but they'll breed
Same with
faster.
me with goldfish. Like a good 10, 20 years of my hobby was just goldfish and plants. So, which isn't a very good combination, really, is it? Because you just use it as garnish plants, goldfish. But anyway, that was my hobby. Like, I've done all the fancy goldfish, I've done all the pond goldfish. Um, well, so I've done Warstat tanks with the celestial pearl danios in, galaxy rod borders. So I've had a go at cold water.
Oh, Tommy's saying they can go in run warm water as long as it's a seasonal thing. So yeah, probably because I mean, if you put them in tubs outside, I mean, here in Michigan anyway, it gets hot during the daytime, and at night it cools down considerably. So I had a tub once. I was trying to put some cichlids. I had some convict cichlids I put in a tub, and the daytime temperatures in that tank would get up to 90. I mean, and at nighttime it dropped down into it was like a 30-degree fluctuation in the temperature of the water. So it was way too much.
I'll
Almost
tell
felt
you
like
one
having.
thing. Tell you one thing I found, which um, I emptied the tank and I brought all the plants and stuff out here, and I had the tank down here. I think it was last winter or the winter before. And Glenn will probably correct me on this. But I emptied. I didn't have a light on. It was just down here with water in. I put all the plants in, moved all the plants around. So I thought the tank was empty, and there was no heating on in this room all winter. And I had neocaridina, and I'm outdoors, and I had neocaridina last for months through the winter in this tank. So neocaridina seems to do fine in low temperatures.
Yeah, the local fish shop, local LFS, they say that a lot of their shrimp can go down to like 18, and probably down to 16 degrees. So, but yours must have gone down way below that.
Yeah, easy 14, maybe lower.
Yeah, yeah. But it's not as long as it's gradual, then they
Yeah,
adjust to it.
But he's
But
saying
if
it
it
was
goes like that and
about
then down,
83 degrees.
wow,
So, and that's year round for that temperature.
wow, that's literally what my fish room is at the minute. It's
Yeah,
29.
temperatures will breed in ice water. But the problem is it got to like almost boiling during the daytime. I mean, they survived the convicts. I only had them out there for about 3 nights, 3 days. But I'd go out there and I'd reach in there to like test something. I'd reach in to feel the water, and the water was hot. Okay, and then I'd go out at nighttime, and then the water would be cold. I mean, it's just too much for them, and I took them back in the house. I mean, I know they're just convicts, but I don't want to have any fish suffer. But let's see here. Oh yeah, that's right. In fact, Mark Shelley we were talking about earlier, he had his neocaridina shrimp out in Indiana, which is just south of Michigan, and it gets really cold. I mean, it gets down in the negative. He had
Wow,
neocaridina survive out there all winter.
how the hell?
He had a pond, but he put a cover over it with a little bit of insulation, and I'm not sure if he ran an air in there or not to keep it open, but they survived. And he's got some neocaridina shrimp that are just huge for for neos. Really quite big. Now trying equal amount of caves. Danikin stack the caves. Oh. Okay. You know what we're missing here? I'm going to put a little bit of. Yeah. Yes. Hello?
Hello?
You were saying something? Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Jeff, yeah?
Oh, okay. You started to say something. I was like,
Oh, I thought you were reading, chats out, that's all. I just paused.
yeah, I put the chat. Yeah. The pinnacle in the heat of water gets to almost 90.
I was reading the chat as well.
Yeah.
I didn't realise that Neos can get down. But that's a question I was going to ask is how do people keep the mosquitoes down in the Neo ponds in the summer then?
Oh,
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Put the guppy. You can put guppies, or you have the native gambusia. I think they're called. They're mosquito fish. They'll eat all the.
Yeah. I'd be worried about them eating the shrimplets. I'm sure.
I put a bucket of water on my deck, and when the mosquitoes, when I see the larvae in there, I'll put those to my black mollies too.
Yeah.
Dart frogs. Oh, he's got dart frogs. Ah. I am currently working on cooling it in the summer. Ah, yeah. Have a ventilation would be good. Legacy, I won't get more shrimp. I want to get more shrimp to breed. I love Skittle shrimps. Well, you know what the Skittles, Melvin, eventually when they're going to breed themselves into being like a wild type. That's what will happen. You'll get different colors for a little while, but the more they breed together, they're going to turn into a wild form of neocaridina. What I like to do is I just keep like Blue Dreams in one tank, Bloody Marys in another tank, and if you wanted to get like the yellows, I mean, it takes a lot of tanks to get all those different colors, but the Skittles are nice.
Yeah, that's the thing I'm worried about is breeding them back to wild type. You've got to be on them and colouring them, haven't you? Otherwise, you end up with. I know I've got a lot of wild type in here. They just they look like almonos with red stripes on them.
I just love watching them crawl around. I love just watching them crawling around and eating, and they don't bother me that much. I like having the colored ones, but the colored shrimp. But I
just noticed where I've got the Goida Rivers down here. There's a brown, like a chocolate coloured shrimp walking around in the tank, and I don't know where it's come from. So I've got blues and reds, and a few yellows down here. They've never bred the yellows. So.
Yeah.
Like I seem to do better with bigger volumes of water breeding shrimp, but like I said before, all my experience has been with bigger tanks, so maybe all my experience just ties into bigger tanks and shrimpy bloodworm. It's funny, Glenn said to me, you've been feeding them bloodworm, and that's how I kicked this colony off, was feeding bloodworm when I was feeding the fish. And he asked me the other week, and I thought, you know what, I haven't done it for ages. And then as soon as I fed them bloodworm, I had more blue, but the red laser rainbows have made short work of the fry, the shrimplets. So
the shrimp don't like, they don't like me anymore, June, either, because I've been adding fish in the tanks, and they're because they have all the scuds. I put fish in to eat the scuds, and they're eating all the babies. So my numbers have dwindled down to almost nothing. So I don't know. We were talking about you're going to send something. If you do, you might want to send somebody else, because I don't think I'm going to have my shrimp much longer. I have some, and I've got enough food to last them probably for another 2 or 3 years already. But
I could say that, yeah, because I've just been thinking, I can keep them outside.
Oh, yeah.
I've got loads of room outside.
Oh, yeah, nice. Yeah, I would. I still have some, but Oh no, don't be sorry about that, dear. No. I wasn't saying. I was just saying that because I've been adding the fish to the tanks to get rid of the scuds because they're eating all my plants, and the plants are costing a lot of money that they're going through. So I don't want to. I want to make sure I can get my tanks to the point where I can have my live plants to complete the ecosystems in there. But the tanks that have those scuds, I mean, they will absolutely devour any. They don't have to be a dead plant. They eat the live plants. And I've got living. Well, I did have living proof until they ate it, but they cleaned out a completely. Had a huge water wisteria. If you know that, if you ever watch or see any videos on them, they're an extremely hardy, fast-growing plant. All right. And when the scuds invaded that tank and their population exploded, they devoured the entire plant all the way down to the roots.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't take long either. I'm telling you, it was like I noticed. I was thinking, well, maybe there's not enough nutrients in the tank, so I'd test the nitrates. I'd add some fertilizer to it. I put a root tap. It kept getting smaller and smaller. Who do we have here? Who's that?
That's Blaze. That's my hound.
Hey, Blaze. But they completely devoured the entire plant. And then I'm like, okay, well, that plant cost me money. It cost me $12. So I'm basically still at war with my scuds. I'm trying to get them out there. And right now, I think I'm actually winning because I see some of the plants are starting to come back now. I've got a million of those tiger limnias, and they've really done a good job. You used to be able to see the scuds all over the substrate, swimming around in the water column. And now, even with this, I go in there and I'll concentrate on something. I haven't seen any of them. So I'm hoping that I got them.
I set this Wallstart tank up probably about 2 months ago now, and there was scuds in the tank, which is why I stripped down the low tech tank that was here. And I set the Wallstart tank up, and scuds come out, and I'd clean the tank out, I'd wet backed it and everything, and set the tank up, and within a few days there was scuds. You could see them bobbing through the water, and I was like, where did they come from? So, but since I put the Bosemoni in, I put the Bosemoni within 24 hours, I haven't seen a scud in there since. This tank, there was a few scuds in here. As soon as the red lasers went in there, although the red lasers aren't big enough to eat the adult scuds yet, they terrorise them, so you don't see them because they hide from the rainbows. And
now, what are the red lasers again?
Rainbows with pony red lasers.
Oh, okay.
But they're like Praecox rainbow size. They just look like a Praecox with red lasers down there. But they're starting to do the little courting dances now.
Oh, nice.
But they haven't coloured up yet. I've got one Bosemoni down here that's starting to colour up. It looks like a male, and it's doing all the dancing. So.
Lazy.
But I've got me with the rivers in my grow out tank, so I've got nowhere to put fry if I get any.
So, do you have any projects coming up in your fish room that any type of breeding projects other than what you have going right now?
I don't. I'm guessing I'll breed the Bosemoni next. I've hounded a breeder to get some Kalitawa rainbows. So basically, what I'm doing is getting moths with the eggs in and growing them out at the moment.
Nice.
But what I might do is, now I know I can keep Neos outside, I might get some tubs for them.
Amazon
Nice.
source?
So if I get some Neos out there, then I've got more room to grow plants outside.
Nice. How about you, Arnold?
Just got to escape the tank out. I'm looking around for some plants, some decent plants. Went to my local fish store and their plants are just tap. Been to Pets at Home, their plants are just tap. So now I'm going to have to rely on online now. Probably K2 Aqua is a decent seller on eBay.
That's where I've got most of these from. K2 Aqua.
Yeah.
I think. I definitely got the water wisteria, which looks like it's been grown out of water, so it's just that soaking, doing nothing. I'm waiting for it to get going. It's got new tips, which look nice and healthy. I've got home water, got like a piece about that big, but there's one thing that's shot up to the top of the tank curled, and it's going that way now. In a week or two. So it's
So yeah, yeah.
Gentlemen, excuse me a moment. I'm going to run for a bio break. I'll be back in a moment.
Oh,
what?
A bio break.
Well, that's that.
It's a trip to the loo.
Oh,
oh,
you're as bad as Andrew, you are. So yeah, I've got to escape that tank out and get some decent plants to put in there, and then I'll put my keyhole cichlids in there.
cool.
So
Talking about getting plants, didn't someone promise me some pink flamingo in the chat last week?
yeah, Daniel, yeah.
I need to
Yeah.
get hold of them. Right.
Yeah, it'll definitely sort out for you, mate.
Yeah, that'd be amazing, that wouldn't it?
Yeah. You think Adam's got some as well?
Adam from
You know, Adam Severn fish tanks.
yeah.
Yeah, I think he's got some as well.
Has he?
Yeah.
Has he propagating it, or is he just escaping kind of thing with it?
That I haven't got a clue. You would have to ask him, but
Is he still in the chat?
I haven't seen him for a little while. He was on the way home from work last time he said anything in chat. Yeah,
That's
all. It's worth getting in touch with him anyway. But I think K2 Aqua are selling that type of plant for $3.99.
The pink flamingo.
Yeah.
I didn't realise that. I got all
Yeah. That was what I was been looking at is K2 Aqua. Yeah. $3.99 I think it was said, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'm just basically looking for like foreground plants. Some really, something different that I haven't got in this fish room. Oh wow. What are we looking at now?
Yeah, I'm going to show you the okay. Let's do. Here we go. I just added that. I had that other sponge filter that I had sitting in here. I hooked it up. I wanted to show how crystal clear this water, except for the water spots.
Oh.
What I want to do is I have a bunch of these little terracotta pots here. I want to start farming some plants when I trim up the Ludwigia. I'm going to have a whole bunch of those in one of my new tanks. And I want to have like 20 of these just lining the entire bottom of the tank, filling the entire floor of it. And
put some dirt in the bottom, Jeff.
What's that?
Put some dirt in the bottom of them pots.
That's an Anubias that got chewed up by my African cichlids, and I'm trying to bring it back.
I thought that was Helperite.
No, that's Nana Petite.
That's Anubias.
That's
wow.
Anubias. It was until the Africans chewed it to. But there's my male Plicata right there. So you can see I still do have some blue dream shrimp, and they do fine in here. Nobody bothers them really, but I know that the Goodeids and the Limias have been reducing their numbers a lot. I just added another piece of cholla wood there, so it'll be sinking another day or two. But there's the female. There's the female betta.
Do you ever put plants on that cholla wood, Jeff?
I have in the past. I might do that. I have a bunch of. I got plenty of moss.
Yeah.
Lots of moss in this tank, and then of course I got lots of the. That's grown about 2 or 3 inches since last week. It's already up to the top of the tank there. That Ludwigia.
Ludwigia, is that?
Yeah, that's Ludwigia. Yep, and there's over there.
How long's that took to grow, Jeff?
It hasn't taken long at all.
Even in my high-tech tank, my Ludwigia doesn't grow that fast.
Really? I put it
well,
in. It was about to here, and then this is about, I don't know, maybe 6 weeks of growth.
Wow. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well,
I thought,
let me show you over here. This is I show this every week, and I always talk about wanting to get it trimmed. Well, this one here, that's growing to the point where it's actually going all over, and then over here is even worse. This is so thick in here. It's actually growing down now. It was just over the top, but now it's getting thick.
yeah, what it'll be doing is it'll be pushing shoots out the nodes, and then it'll pull a plant down in the water.
Yeah. See, I need to trim this up, and I need to get it. I need to get it trimmed up, and I need to. It's so thick. I reach in here, and it is really. But
That gets me going now.
look at those roots, though. The root system here. Those are really hardy.
You know them roots are, Jeff? Like, I'm just talking, like, you should get, the roots should be coming out one side of the stem, and then you'll get, like, a smaller stem coming out the top.
Well, let me see if I can see this. You can see it's growing out of the water.
Yeah. You've got a mass grown stuff going there.
I'm sorry?
You've got stuff it's converted to growing out the water.
Well, it's just beginning to appear at the top where that one's growing out of the water a little bit, but
I'll show you the trick to do with that, Jeff. Don't need fish tanks anymore to grow Ludwigia if you can do that.
well, it's growing good for me. I know that. And this over here.
Jeff's got green fingers.
I think what it is, I only do when I do my water changes, I don't do very much, but I do maybe 25% water change when I do them. Now these are 20-gallon tanks here, so these are 80 liters. So I do a 5 US gallon bucket out when I do my water change, and that's about every 2 weeks. Same over here. And when I do the water change, I'll put the vacuum in, and I'll pick up a little bit of the mulm, but I don't go deep into the substrate because I don't want to disrupt the roots.
I think you're doing your moss there. I think Glenn said he had some moss for sale, or I think it was flame moss or something. I can't remember whether he sold it, but he had like a big ton of it that he wanted to pass on to people.
Oh, nice.
I can't remember whether he let it go or... I remember he showed me he had like a big bag full of his stuff.
Oh, I gotta show these guys. These guys are... He's on fire today. He's been breeding with these girls. Look at this.
Wow, they're massive, them, aren't they?
Every one of these... Well, they're about... Here's my hand.
Is that one holding?
Huh?
Is that one holding on the left?
Oh, I got several holding. She's holding.
Wow.
There's about 3 or 4 of them in there. She's holding back there. She's holding. Pretty much the only one that's not holding is the convict here. Everybody else is. But yeah, see, these guys are just beautiful. They're not overly aggressive, in my opinion. I mean, they get along so well. Over here to these guys. A bit younger, we got a lot of the zebras in here. And there's Casanova's son right here. He's like a spitting image of him, just a younger version. You know, just have a tank with a lot of interesting activity and beautiful colors. You know, I really do love the African cichlids. So I'm pretty much going to resign myself. See, I was always worried about, how am I going to get rid of these? Well, I'm not going to worry about getting rid of these anymore because I just came to the realization that I don't think I'd ever want to get rid of these fish. They're just too beautiful. I enjoy watching them too much. You know, if they breed, I let them breed in the tank. If some of the fry survive, they survive. But I'm not going out of my way to...
I've noticed with the likes of the yellow labs and stuff lately, a couple of the local shops around by me has been looking for breeders because the African cichlid side of the hobby seems to be kicking off again.
Oh, really? That's something that...
And there's no yellow labs on on the lists, on the shop's list at the moment. So
Well, get
That's
them in touch
good.
with Arnold here because he breeds those.
Does he? You
You
got
could have
yellow labs,
both.
Arnold?
Yeah, I've got yellow labs. Yeah.
These are red
They
zebras.
Are they?
These are red
They
zebras.
were.
These
I
aren't
thought they were yellow labs. So I wonder where the black stripe was on them. But
yeah, these are red zebras.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got quite a few yellow labs. Well, I've got some hybrid ones like yellow labs plus what's that one?
what plant's that, Jeff?
Well, that used to be. Let me see what was.
Yeah.
Not a Ludwigia. No, this was.
No.
I'm trying to think. What was it? It might have been. It might have been part of the Hygrophila dimorphus, but this is the aftermath of the scuds.
That water was there, yeah.
It might have been water wisteria. I'm not positive, but the scuds absolutely devour. I mean, I'm trying to remember now. It's been so long, but I added this little Gudea here, and he's really done a good job. He's been, if you notice his stomach, he's been eating a lot of the really small scuds. I'm going to see if I can zoom in here. Oh, I can't. Let's put the camera closer. But there were scuds swimming around here and crawling around on the substrate. And since I've added him, there's one there. See him? See it right there?
Yep.
He's too big for him to eat right now. But he's been eating a lot of the small. I was hoping the betta would go after him, but she just doesn't.
No, that's what happened to me. I had a male betta in with hoping it clear the scuds out. It didn't touch them.
But that's what scuds do, right there. They will destroy your plants. Now over here, I got enough predators in this tank that the plants are flourishing in this tank. I got my the Bulbitis here. I got ferns. Got the mosses here, really growing nice. But these guys are expert scud hunters. And I've added hundreds of scuds in this tank on purpose for them because I was trying to get them into breeding, but they're both females, so you know how that goes. It's not going to work. But it's just a stunning. I love this tank. It's wild. I don't do much with it, but I love the way it looks. There's the other female. Yeah. But of course, the mollies are breeding here. I got some more babies in there, I believe. More. There's some back there, yeah. I just walk around the room here with you guys. These are the Gudeas. These are the parents of the little fish there I put it. Now, if I had one of the larger ones in there, that wouldn't last very long. It's good.
What's that plant there, Jeff?
We're here?
That's hornwort, isn't it?
That's hornwort.
What's beneath it?
What's beneath it? That's
See the
pearlweed.
That's stem at the bottom there.
Yeah, it's pearlweed.
I'll have to get some of that. I've never tried that.
Pearlweed is a wonderful plant. Here, look at this. I have a whole big bunch of it down here. I had a huge, great big, probably the size of a football, right? In the other tank over there, where I showed you where the plant got devoured.
Yeah.
And they devour the entire huge clump within weeks. Within a couple of weeks, it was gone. About this size. Yeah. And then over here, the plants are starting to come back a little bit. You can notice some of the stems up here. The scuds have stripped it. They chew it down. That's hornwort.
That hornwort's bright green.
Yeah.
Nutrients in that tank must be amazing. That looks like you're fertilizing that stuff.
I don't fertilize.
No, but the nutrients must be amazing in that tank because it looks like it's being fertilized.
Yeah. I don't, pretty much this tank right here, I basically just top it off. I do a little bit of water change, but look at here, it's growing out of the water even. The hornwort is.
The duckweed's the same as well.
Oh, the duckweed's doing really well.
See, that's what was it before I was talking about the duckweed index and the likes of your frog bits, your duckweed. If it's bright green, that tells you like the nutrients in your tank are like really healthy. Like it's a really the likes of your duckweed and your hornwort will let you know before the other stuff that there's deficiencies in your tank. If that starts yellowing, you need to have a look what's going on, or you need to fertilize. Or if you are fertilizing, you need to increase the amount of fertilizer you're using.
Yeah, it's going pretty well. I mean, I have some liquid fertilizer that I might put in once in a while, but I haven't used any fertilizer now in months.
No.
But see, those African cichlids, they love them.
That's what you want if you got duckweed. You want something that eats the duckweed.
Yeah, so it's kind of a nice. I mean, I'm not really put off by the duckweed anymore because it has a purpose.
I'll tell you what plant I am having. Talking floating plants. One plant I am having loads of fun with lately is Amazon frogbit.
Yeah. These guys are eating it too. Yeah. And let's walk over here to see what these guys are doing real quick. Now, I just squeezed these sponge filters out 2 days ago. I have to tank. I mean, there's enough stocking, and this is a 65-gallon tank. So what is that, about 250 liters? Or no, not that much. 220 liters? I'm not sure. 65 U.S. gallons. And I squeeze those I take the sponge filters out, and I clean them thoroughly to where they're black again. And I'll even vacuum the substrate and get some of the out of the gravel. But they're like this in 2 or 3 days again later. And I don't feed this tank very heavy either. That right there, I believe, is subwasser tank. Not doing very well either. It's dwarf sage. I just put a Job plant spike underneath that one about a week ago.
I love dwarf sage.
Dwarf sage, yep.
I ordered dwarf sage from someone on eBay the other week when I was setting this wall start tank up. And it's about 6 inches long. It's not dwarf sage. It must be normal sage.
Well, at one time, this was up. When I first got it, it was tall. And like I said...
Maybe if you grow it out of water, it gets taller, because a lot of these people grow it out of water, don't they? So they grow faster.
Could be. It could be. Come back.
Probably reduces down once it goes underwater.
Right. Come on, have a seat over here. Okay. Go ahead. Flip this camera back around here. Oops.
Doing the same. Do the right thing for your sponge. Filter sponges. Put them in a canister filter. No.
Do what now?
June was just saying, do the right thing for your sponge filters. Put the sponge in a canister filter.
I wouldn't have a canister filter again if you paid me all the tea in China. There's no way.
Glenn was saying he's got a pair of cactitoides that bred and raise their young themselves. Well, 4 of them with no intervention from me and no baby brine shrimp. That's cool.
There we go. Yeah. All right. Sorry about all the trouble with my camera there for a second. But, yeah. I think, are you guys Want to talk about anything else before we finish up here?
No, I think we had a good stream, good topics.
Yeah, I kind of lost my stride. I lost my stride a little bit, but I get easily.
Has anyone got any questions in the comments? I don't see the comments, can I? Because
Oh yeah, we'll bring them up here. Your frog bit is huge, Keith. Hey, good morning, Craig. Welcome, friend.
Hi, Craig. So if anyone in chat has any questions for Keith, myself, or Jeff, please put them in the comment section, the chat, and then we'll do our best to answer them.
I don't want to get the wrong impression. I mean, canister filters can be absolutely a fantastic filter, right? I've had them before, but for me, I have a hard time doing the maintenance on them for some reason. I just I'd rather do the hang-on back filters for a power filter.
I'm not a fan of canisters either, Jeff. They make me lazy.
Yeah, I just wouldn't. I would never clean them. I mean, I'd have the canister running. I just let it go. I mean,
that's what I was like.
Yeah. So with the sponges and the hang-on back filters, it's I can maintain them a little bit easier. So I don't mind pulling. I use the sponges inside my hang-on back filters. I'll just take those out and rinse them off like I would any other sponge, and put them back in.
Yeah, all my tanks are on sponges now. Oh.
Yeah, that's what most of mine are. Sponge filters, pretty much down here. I have a few hang-on backs going in some of the big tanks with the bigger fish right now, but I got some more sponges on the way, and when I get those, I'm going to try and go fully powered by air, the entire basement.
Yeah, I think if the long hair general said to me I was only allowed one tank in the house, I'd probably run a canister filter then. But
I'd run a hang-on. I'd still use a hang-on back.
Yeah, like
or a sump.
Oh yeah, I love sumps. Talk all day long about sumps. But then I start talking to.
We'll do that on another stream. We'll talk about sumps, and that'll be a great topic actually.
Yeah.
Because
I got well into my sumps to the point where I was thinking of running a display tank underneath so I could have my sump on display. And it was absolutely full of gadgets.
Wow.
Did you have Hydra heaters there, Jeff?
Do I what?
Did you have Hydra heaters running there?
I do have some Hydra heaters. Let's see, where are my Hydra heaters? I have one. Oh, I have back here. This is the HG043. Oops, I have to turn around. It might help if I turn the camera back around.
You have to send it to an engineer on us then. Did you hear that?
Yeah, I wouldn't last as an engineer, I can tell you that. All right, so that's the HG043. Now this tank is running on just those two sponges, but I don't have any plecos in here. I'm going to add some. I have tons of bristlenose plecos. So I'm going to add a few to this tank. They'll have a nice food source right off the get-go. And back there's the controller for this.
Wow,
which is quite nice because
controller.
I'm going to show you the controller. It's really nice. I'm going to walk around this way. This is behind the scenes.
Because I used to have a. Wow,
this
that's nice.
And when it's going, it'll show when it clicks on. Right now it's 79 degrees in the tank, and I got it set for 78. But when it gets cooler and it kicks on, it'll show you how much power you're using to heat the tank, and it's usually this is a 300 watt heater, but most of the time it's over 300 watts when it's heating up to temperature, which I don't understand. I thought that 300 watts would be the maximum, but it usually says something like 327 or 380 or something, up to. I don't think it's been much more than 380 watts. But it's interesting though, and when it's heating, and this has a red rim that goes, it kind of travels around the outside of it.
That's nice, huh?
It's a really nice heater. And then I have my favorite Tiger heater is over this way. This is the 082. Very nice.
I've got that one.
I really like this one a lot. And of course, you got the outside controller here.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have another one that's very nice. I'm going to show you this one. This is one of my favorites, and actually pretty economical. This is the titanium, and that has a controller up here, which is really nice. It shows the tank temperature is up at the top. It's set for 78. It's green right now, so it's not heating. And then you can control it with the up and down over here. And then this one has a separate heat sensor, so it's not near the heating rod. So this is the temperature it's getting from the front up here. And right now,
is that similar to the Inkbird ones you used to get? Is it?
I've never used an Inkbird controller yet.
I had a Facebook group. I think we had about 60,000 members on it. It got shut down a while ago, but when I was a mod on there, Inkbird used to send me them for nothing. So I used to have loads of them, and I used to really like them because you could see what was going on on the app when you weren't at home, so you could kind of keep an eye on your face tank from the heater.
Yeah,
I could tell when my missus had turned the heating off and gone to bed when I was on night.
yeah, that'd be nice. So, well, gentlemen, I really probably should end the stream right now because I need to go and cook supper for my wife. And so next week we have the top 5 fish for a 180-gallon tank, and I think that would be it's going to be a lot of fun. So, anything else you'd like to talk about before we end the stream?
No.
No, all good, mate.
I kind of my gas tank kind of ran dry a little bit, so we'll get with you, David. Also, here we are. See you next week. We'll get you the link over also. And
I've really enjoyed this.
Choose 5 fish for an 80-gallon aquarium. I know what June's going to pick already. Let's see. Good with raising the temperature killed the algae. That's interesting. Because my tank is, this is 78, 79 degrees and the algae's thriving. So, but anyhow, guys, thank you so much. Arnold, thank you so much for all the work you've been doing on the channel here and in the stream.
No worries.
And really doing very well. We will have a chance to talk after the stream, but thank you so much, Keith. That was very interesting topic we were talking about earlier, and like I said, it was a little technical for me personally. I mean, I'm not.
No, I appreciate that, Jeff. It helped me because I'm thinking, well, what I want to do is be getting people into doing this side of thing because it's a completely different side of planted tanks.
Yeah.
So it's helped me think, well, I need to put it in a way where I can explain it simply to people to get them in, because if I'm telling them that, they're going to think, well, I can't do this. But it's really easy. It's just, obviously, I understand it because I've done it for years and I've studied it for years. But it's helped me think that I need to put it in a way I can encourage people to try it.
Yeah. I think, like I said, if I was just coming in, I'd have been a little bit intimidated, a little bit.
No, that's fair enough. It's good to have feedback like that, isn't it? Because sometimes when you're putting YouTube videos out, you don't really get that kind of feedback, so you keep putting out the same type of content. But if someone's told you, well, if it was a bit, we got it a bit more beginner friendly, people would, probably respond better to it. So it's helped me out.
Yeah, I think it's basically, and I guess when you're explaining it, you have to assume, unless they are really I don't know my plants, honestly, and that's just the honest answer for me. I don't know a lot of plants, although you can see I got plants that are doing well.
I don't know plants, I know dirt.
I don't know plants very well, but they're growing anyway. That's all I know. I guess I just go with what works. But also, I wanted to mention starting next week, I want to implement a new segment also on a weekly basis where we're going to be feeding some special foods to our fish. So how does that sound to you, Arnold?
Sounds good.
So we'll have a special feeding time segment where we go around and, some of like the favorite foods that we like to feed our fish, and then whoever's on the panel can also do the same thing. And I think that'll be fun too. It's kind of like on Hawaiian Shirt Day, right? So if you want to wear a Hawaiian shirt, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen that movie?
What?
Office Space.
Yeah.
It's a fun movie. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, thank you everybody so much. I really appreciate it. I was a little bit discombobulated earlier. I've been dealing with a few things here at the house, but it's starting to straighten out a little bit here. Might go fish shopping. Oh, nice. Excellent.
Today.
So anyway, guys, thank you so very much, and I will talk to you guys backstage, and I will see you guys next week.
Remember,
Feed yourself.
feed your family,
and
feed your addiction.
goodbye, everybody.
Bye. See you soon.
See you soon. Bye-bye.